Hey guys, welcome back to another video from the Football Herd. Hope you're doing wonderfully well. So this is a Game Week 30 video in which I'll be discussing about the best teams to target, right? Currently, because we have a lot of information about the double game weeks, we'll be talking about the best chip strategy. And since I am someone who has already played his free hit in Game Week 29, I'll be talking about my using of the next two chips that I have, that is a wild card and the bench boost, and how to navigate the upcoming game weeks and to maximize my rank. And also I'll be talking about the fantasy challenge that is brewing up. So without delaying any further, let's get started. So in the best teams to target from game week 30 onwards, in my opinion, we have four teams that I'll be talking about at length. The first one being Liverpool, the second one being Arsenal, the third one being Bournemouth, and the fourth one being Crystal Palace. Since I am someone who is not having the free hit chip for game week 34, so what I will suggest you guys to do is, if you do not have your free hit, is that you target these four teams and build up a team which will at least make you have 9 to 10 players in game week 34 who will double. So we can see right in the fixture planner that Ben Crennel has wonderfully developed, that Liverpool have a Fulham and Everton game, then Arsenal have a Wolves and Chelsea game, then Bournemouth have a Villa and Wolves game, and the Palace have a West Ham and Newcastle game. Apart from these four teams, all the other teams that double in 34 are Wolves, Everton, Sheffield, right? So in my opinion, that I will not highly recommend you guys to bring in someone from Wolves, Everton, or neither Sheffield. And I am also someone who is not willing to have more than one or maximum two players from Spurs, because I know their fixtures are quite lucrative. They have Luton, then West Ham and Forest, and also Newcastle, but they blank in 34, right? So I will recommend you guys to have only someone like Heung-min Son or maybe Pedro Porro, right? Not tripling up on them or doubling up. Only having Heung-min Son is enough, in my opinion, if you do not have the free hit to play, right? So what we will do is, we will use the wild card in game week 35 and load up on Chelsea and Spurs players. Now that will enable us to have that extra 2 game weeks that we have from Chelsea and Spurs, right? Which is clearly evident from this graphic, right? So having said that, when we talk about Liverpool, right, which all players to target? So to start with, I think from Liverpool, the first player that comes to mind is none other than Mo Salah, right? Then you can definitely go for Darwin Núñez, then McAllister, because he's sometimes on pens, right? And also someone like Virgil van Dijk. I will not recommend the likes of Bradley, because I feel that when Trent is a confirmed starter, Bradley will lose his position and his minutes are not secured. That's why. And having said that, if you also want to fit in the likes of Erling Haaland, then Mohamed Salah, as well as Heung-min Son in your squad, then probably you will have to downgrade some of the premium assets. So in that case, you will not be able to have Virgil van Dijk, in my opinion. So in that case, you can have Bradley, but having a triple up of Liverpool is a must, in my opinion, at this juncture. Now coming to the next team, that's Arsenal. Now Arsenal have a difficult game in game week 30. They play Manchester City. But apart from that, all the other games are pretty lucrative. The Luton game, the Brighton game, the Villa, Wolves, Chelsea, all of these are cakewalk games, in my opinion, for Arsenal. And having a triple up in Arsenal is also a must-have before 34, in my opinion. So the premium asset is Saka, then Gabriel, then Ben White. So you can definitely go for these players. And to also add to this list, I think Odegaard is also a very good shout, right? So these are the players I will look to bring in from Arsenal, right? And coming to Bournemouth, in Bournemouth, it's pretty tricky because Senesi is, injured a bit, and he's showing 50% as of now. But someone like Dominic Solanke is a no-brainer, right? So bringing in Dominic Solanke, and also you might also opt for Tavernier, because he's also having some decent form, and his expected numbers are also pretty amazing, right? So having said that, having more than a couple or a double up maximum, right? Not more than that, in my opinion, from Bournemouth. And when I talk about Crystal Palace, I do not, intend to push more towards having a triple up here also. So only, the likes of Eze should be someone that you might look for. Now Johnston is also injured, right? So I think Henderson is a good shout. And apart from these two, someone that I will also tell you is like Anderson, but none other than these three. But when I talk about these three, I will recommend that you bring in just before game week 34, because the other fixtures are not that much lucrative, because 32 they have City, then 33 they have Liverpool. So those are very difficult games. So only in game week 34 you can bring in Eze, in my opinion, not before that. So these are the four teams that I am prioritizing for game week 34, and I'll recommend you guys to build your team and transfers in such a manner that you can at least have 9 to 10 players in game week 34 from these four teams. So guys, this is the best wildcard draft in my opinion if you want to use the wildcard chip in game week 30. So in goal I've gone with Petrovic, because he is a confirmed starter for Chelsea, and they have decent run of games, and they also double in game week 34, and they have a very easy fixture of Burnley. And in defense, I have a triple up of Gabriel, Bradley and Dalot. Now, I was talking about having Van Dijk, right, in defense. But in this draft, you will see that I have also fitted in Erling Haaland. So having said that, if you want to fit in Haaland, Salah, Son together, then you have to downgrade. So that's why I've gone with Bradley. And Dalot, because they have a decent run of games, and he is also someone who is a confirmed starter for United, and he is someone who is having, the best form in the United defense, right? And we also saw him, playing amazing football and putting in those crosses. So in my opinion, Diogo Dalot is a decent shout, in my opinion, currently. And the Brentford away game is also something that we are looking forward to. And I have also gone for another United asset, that is Garnacho, because he is a cheap enabler, and you can free up a lot of funds, and instead of going for someone like Bruno or Rashford, you can easily go with Garnacho, because he is in also scintillating form, right? And in my midfield I've gone with Palmer, Son, Salah and Saka. It's quite template-ish, and the captain is Salah itself. And in my front three I've gone with Haaland, Darwin and Watkins, right? So if you look at this team carefully, you will be able to see that you will have at least 11 players that will double in game week 34. So this is the view of the existing wildcard team in game week 34. Now you can see that we have the likes of Chelsea and Spurs assets in the bench. Now the plan is to dead end my team until game week 34, so that we can wildcard in game week 35 and bring the Spurs and Chelsea assets back in the team, right? So you can definitely prioritize the players that I was just talking about previously, in the previous section from the four teams like Liverpool, Bournemouth, Palace and Arsenal, and load up on them till 34. So in my opinion, you will just be able to have at least 10 to 11 people playing with double fixtures in game week 34. Now I will not recommend not having Watkins, because he has the Bournemouth game. Apart from Watkins, I will prefer to have all of them doubling in game week 34. So in my opinion, this is the best wildcard draft in game week 30. Do drop a comment if you have something else in mind and how you like this draft. So this is how the team is shaping up for game week 30. So I am not playing the wildcard in game week 30, and this is my existing team. In goal, I have Martinez, who has a Wolves game. I see that Wolves are a side who concede a lot, and they are not that much attacking prone currently. So Martinez might have a clean sheet, right? So and in my defense I have Gabriel, Doughty and Walker. All of them are flagged at 75, but I'm pretty certain that at least two of them will start. And I know that Gabriel and Walker have a very difficult game, and they're playing against each other, so it's a pretty weak defense for this existing game week in my opinion. But having said that, Gabriel has that attacking potential in the dead ball situations, and so he's someone that I am pretty much optimistic about. And Walker also, if Walker is someone who is starting, and I hope that he will be playing this important game, then he also has that attacking potential down the right. So in my midfield, I have a five-man midfield of Palmer, Salah, Foden, Saka, and Richarlison. I have opted to go for Salah instead of Odegaard. I have made that transfer and I have not taken any hits. And I will be captaining Mohamed Salah. That's why I've brought him in. And I do not, feel the upside of having two Manchester City assets against team players. Like, I'm not willing to have a couple of Arsenal assets when it's an away game at Etihad. So in my opinion, I do not see Odegaard and Saka starting both in my team, because I feel it will be a very tightly contested game. And in my attack, I have a double up of Solanke and Watkins, and the bench is also having a couple of Luton players. So this is not a pretty amazing team in my opinion on paper. But since I am not willing to wildcard as of now, I will wildcard in Game Week 30. That is the plan, and I feel that from Game Week 31 itself, this team will shape up to Game Week 34 in a pretty amazing manner. Now FPL has come up with an amazing new format which is known as the FPL Challenge, right? It is currently in beta version, but that will be in complete full blown from the next season. But we will be able to enjoy it for this 9 games, in my opinion. And so I'll be talking about what is the fantasy challenge all about. So the first thing that it's completely game week based, and the points do not roll up. It's not a cumulative thing that from game week 1 to game week 38 it will be an additive quotient altogether. So it's like you'll have a new team every game week with a new set of rules, right? So for example, for this game week we have unlimited budget, right? So you can pick any player without thinking about the 100 million budget, right? So it's like for another game week, it might be that the forwards will have double points. Now for another game week, it also might be like certain teams will have certain players from certain teams will have double points, right? So it's like that, and this follows a very unique style like the UCL fantasy, and you can select 5 players and from a single team, and it's not 3 players. And also on top of that, there's no overall rank. It's just mini leagues, so you get all your bragging rights for each game week, right? And it also just like I was mentioning that the UCL fantasy, right? So this has a dynamic substitution rule, right? So if you guys have played UCL fantasy, you will be knowing, right? Like you might change your team in the game week itself. So there are no deadlines per se, right? So it's like a complete game week will be broken down into a lot of sub deadlines, right? So suppose I have a fixed team. So this is the team that I am going forward with for this game week. And if you see the timeline, right, and if you see the fixtures, so suppose for the first game I'll have a lot of players, right? And if I opt for substituting them out before the next deadline, then I am able to do that. But you will not be able to substitute any player who has already played in your bench, right? So you will have 4 players in your bench, and if any player from your bench has already played, then you cannot substitute that player back, right? If that particular player has not played, then definitely sub him in and substitute a player who has not played from your team, right? So this is a very dynamic substitution rule, and I think this opens up a lot of options, and it's pretty exciting, right? Because you will be always into the game week. It's not like I'm setting and forgetting for the entire game week, right? And we can prioritize each games as it comes, right? So for this particular game week, you'll be able to understand that what I have done, because I have categorically gone for players who are having a decent game to start with, just like Fabian Schär, then Robinson, and then also Pedro Porro in my defense, right? So to start with, we can see that we have fixtures of Newcastle and West Ham. So I'm loading players from Newcastle to start with. So I'll start with Isak, right? And what I can do is, if Isak does not perform well, I can definitely transfer him out, and I can bring someone like Erling Haaland, which I'll definitely do if Isak is not giving me 13 to 15 points, right? So it's just like that. Just before the last fixture of Arsenal versus City, if I do that change, then I'll be able to fit Erling Haaland in, and I'll transfer Isak out. So that is how this works. And in this Game Week 30 challenge, we have unlimited budget. So make no mistake, you can pick anyone and everyone you want without the budget constraint. So happy FPL challenge, guys. So that's it, guys. That was all about the Game Week 30 video. If you have liked my content, please do drop a like and consider subscribing. That will mean a lot to me. And I'm looking for 250 subscribers before the season is out. And I hope that you have an amazing Game Week 30 and the game weeks to come. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.